Welcome back, friends. For more than 30 years, Bob Burg has been successfully showing entrepreneurs, leaders, and sales professionals how to build relationships, communicate their value, and accelerate their business growth. Although for years he was best known for his sales classic, Endless Referrals, it's his business parable, The Go-Giver, co-authored with John David Mann, that has created a worldwide movement. While part of a 4-book series, The Go-Giver itself has sold well over 1 million copies and has been translated into 30 languages. Bob is also an internationally acclaimed Hall of Fame keynote speaker. Kathy Tagenel is president of Go-Givers International and since 2008 has partnered with Bob to grow the Go-Giver movement and build the Go-Giver brand. She has developed many programs with Bob, including the Certified Go-Giver Speaker and Coach Program, the Go-Giver Beyond the Mastermind Retreat, the Go-Giver Success Alliance, and most recently, the Go-Giver Success Vault. Her mission is to connect Go-Givers worldwide. Stay tuned for this insightful episode.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to have Bob Burg and Kathy with us today. Well, better known as Agent 99 for Bob and for myself and everyone. I'm so honored to have you both here. But just to give everyone a little backstory of how I met Bob and Kathy, the Go-Giver book, which I love, and I hand out to everyone that is on my podcast. Back years ago, I got Ninja certified with Larry Kendall, and this book, The Go-Giver, was given out to everyone, and I read it, and it already was aligned with me of the value and just everything that both the Ninja selling and with the Go-Giver, how I conduct my business and my life in general. So, but just to give some people the background, when you hear Ninja selling, that is a training system that's based on the philosophy of building relationships, which then goes into the Go-Giver. So just
Larry's one of our heroes.
Yeah, we love, well,
Larry Kendall's one of everybody's heroes and definitely ours.
Yeah, and that is also for Liv Sotheby's International Realty and Sotheby's International Realty. That is a premise of the Ninja certified that a lot of brokers and agents strive to be, and that is what we kind of live to have our business go by. So anyway, then fast forward, May of 2023, I attended the Go-Giver Beyond the Mastermind retreat, which was hosted by both of you. And I continue every day to live and conduct my business and my life of the Go-Giver way. So I talk about the Go-Giver way, not just in my business, but to my friends and everyone. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you. Wow, an honor. Nice.
Yes. Okay, so for people to understand what the whole premise is of your book itself, share a little bit, Bob, if you would, about the Go-Giver book.
Well, it's a business parable co-authored with John David Mann, who's a fantastic, magnificent writer and entrepreneur. And the basic premise is simply that shifting your focus, and I think that's really where it all begins, shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, it's the most financially profitable way as well. But you know, Andy, it's not for any kind of way out there, woo-woo, magical, mystical type reasons. Oh, just give and good things. Not at all. It's actually much more rational than that. When you're that person who can take your focus off of yourself and place it on serving others, discovering what they need, what they want, what they desire, when making it not about yourself, but about helping them solve and overcome their challenges and problems. When you can make it not about you, but instead helping to move them closer to happiness, people feel good about you. They feel great. about you. They want to be in relationship with you. They want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to do business with you. But you know what? They really want to tell the world about you. They want to be your, what we call, personal walking ambassadors.
Yeah, so true. I mean, and it's not just for entrepreneurs and business. It's really to everyone living their life. So the other important factor, which I love, is you have the 5 laws that you share in the book. Will you explain that to everyone?
Sure. Well, the 5 laws themselves are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. The first law, the law of value, says your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Now, that sounds sort of counterintuitive when you first hear it. Give more in value than I take in payment. It sounds like a recipe for bankruptcy. So we simply have to understand the difference between price and value. Price is a dollar figure. It's a dollar amount. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, what have you, that brings so much worth or value to another person that they will willingly exchange their money for it, and be glad they did, while you make a very healthy profit. You know, it's the realtor who, you know, takes a listing on a home and they charge a certain fee. What's the value they're providing, though? Well, you know, aside from helping that client sell the home at a higher price and less time, with less aggravation than they would be able to without that realtor's wisdom, knowledge, time, effort, energy, connections, and so forth, they're also staging the home. They're doing the negotiations. They're doing the showings. They're doing the advertising. They're doing the inspections. And they're helping this person feel very confident and stress-free in terms of the whole situation. So by the time this home sells, okay, the seller has received lots more in value than the fee they paid the realtor. So they feel great about it, while the realtor still makes a very healthy fee. But the key is that this happened not because the realtor was focused on their fee. They were focused on the immense value they were providing their client. The fee was simply the reward. This is why John David Mann and I say that money is simply an echo of value. It's the thunder to values lightning. It means the value must be the focus. It must come first. The money you receive is a natural result of the value that you've provided. Now, here's the thing, though, too, and this is so important, that, yeah, that's the law. That's the basic law. And yet, you know, every realtor can basically claim to do the same thing, because that's what a realtor does, right? That's the intrinsic value they provide. So even though you can do it better than they can, until your prospective client knows this, they don't know this. And unless a prospective client can distinguish between any 2 or more realtors or firms, it's always going to come down to who has the lowest fee or price. And that's never a good way to do business. When you sell on low price or low fee, you're a commodity. When you sell on high value, you're a resource. And that's why, and one of the things Kathy's so wonderful at teaching is what we call the 5 elements of value, which is the extrinsic value. It's that experience that you give to that person. And the 5 elements of value within the laws of value are excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation. And I've seen Kathy, you know, work with clients and take a whole day to do those, because there's so much in terms of, you know, how you're really communicating that message of excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation. But you know what it comes down to, Andy? It comes down to how you make that other person feel.
Correct.
The process.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's law number 1. And I'll go quicker on the others. Law number 2 is the law of compensation. This says your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So it's not just the value itself, it's how many lives are you impacting. with that value, which is why we're such big believers in a referral-based business. Law number 3, the law of influence, says your influence is determined by how abundantly you place their interest, the other person's interest, first. But again, isn't that just Pollyanna? No, not at all. Now, first, when we say place the other person's interest first, we don't mean you should be a martyr or a doormat or self-sacrificial. Not at all. It's simply understanding, as Joe, the protege in the story, learned from several of the mentors, the golden rule of business, of sales, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you from others than by genuinely moving from that I focus or me focus to that other focus. And this is something when Kathy and I, teach this to our clients, or when Kathy brings someone into the community, it's always about making sure they understand that the more you can place your focus on helping others, the more your business is going to grow. I used to, when I spoke at sales conferences, the first thing I used to say is nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet, right? They're going to buy from you, right? They're not going to buy from you because you have a sales goal or you need the money or just because you're a really nice person. They're going to buy from you because they believe that ultimately they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. So what you want to do is, as Sam, one of the mentors in the story, advised Joe, make your win all about the other person's win. And then law number 4, the law of authenticity, says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. In this part of the story, the mentor was a realtor, a very successful realtor by the name of Deborah Davenport. And she shared that all the skills in the world, the sales skills, technical skills, people skills, as important as they are, and they are all very important, they're also all for naught if you don't come at it from your true, authentic core. But when you do, when you show up as yourself day after day, week after week, month after month, people feel not only good about you, not only great about you, they feel comfortable with you. They feel safe with you because they know who they're getting. Now, one thing about authenticity, and, of course, Kathy talks a lot about that with Colby, which she's just such an authority in, that helps you live your life as yourself by knowing your strengths, right? And by being able to tap into what really makes you tick, and it helps you to communicate your value to others. One thing about authenticity is that over the years, I think since the advent of social media, authenticity has almost taken on what I think is a false meaning, and that is just say or do whatever you want. There's no boundaries. You just be yourself. It doesn't matter who you offend or who doesn't like you. I disagree with that. I don't think that's authenticity. That would be like the person who says, well, I have anger issues and I yell at people a lot, and if I were to act any differently, that wouldn't be authentic of me. No, it simply means that person has an authentic problem that they need to authentically work on in order to become a better, higher, more effective, authentic version of themselves. So we never want people to mistake authenticity for not growing, but instead use it as an impetus to step into your highest authentic self. Personally, I define authenticity as acting congruently with your values. And I think as long as you do that, you're always you're heading in the right direction. And then the last law number 5, the law of receptivity, says the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving, which means really nothing more than, you breathe out, you also have to breathe in. It's not one or the other. It's an and, right? You breathe out carbon dioxide and then you breathe in. You breathe out, which is giving. You breathe in, which is receiving. And giving and receiving are not opposite concepts, but rather two sides of the very same coin. Unfortunately, the world around us gives us a very negative message when it comes to money, when it comes to prosperity, when it comes to abundance, when it comes to business. So it's so important, I think, that we all make a proactive study of prosperity mindset. And there are so many great teachers out there who that's their specialty, whether it's people like Randy Gage, David Nagel, Sharon Lechter, Ellen Rogan, Lisa Peterson, the late Bob Proctor, Ken Honda, the people who they blog on this, they do videos, they have courses, they have books. So my suggestion is always tap into that, because what they teach is really the mindset that allows you to get past those negative limiting beliefs about prosperity that the world sends our way all the time. So that's a basic look at the 5 laws.
Yeah, so true. I live and breathe that every day, and it's work. And you gave everyone at our last workshop a journal, and I do practice in that journal, which I love, about the words we use and we write. And it is about the mindset. And I actually right now write 3 times a day with my affirmations, the positive affirmations, whether it's about money and having that, of the mindset, but into the words in your journal every day. And it's so important. It really, it's very powerful, very powerful. So continue work with all of that. But
good for you that you do the work. It says a lot though about you that you do the work. It's taking action on ideas.
Correct.
And that's the key. It's looking at an idea and not saying, "Oh yeah, I should do that someday." It's taking the ideas that you see kind of make sense to you, that align with you, that are congruent with you, again, with your values, and saying, "Okay, if I'm going to do something like this, I need to apply it." And I don't need to apply it well at first, because hardly, and it's like Joe Pindar's one condition to Joe for mentorship in The Go-Giver was what? He had to take each of the laws that he learned that day and apply it before the night ended. Yeah. Because it didn't have to be done perfectly. It just needed to be done. It needed to have action put to it.
And Andy, you are truly an embodiment of a go-giver.
It sure is.
Very inspiring.
You sure are. Wow.
Yeah, action. It is about the action. And so thank you for that. And speaking of the impetus of the Go-Giver, how did that evolve into this book?
It was really a matter of seeing certain patterns. I mean, I was very lucky, as was my co-author, John Menn. We both grew up with great parents who set a fantastic example of living life that way. But, as you grow up, you see people in business doing things certain ways. Some things you agree with, some things you don't. And you see some people who seem to do things the right way and get lousy results. And sometimes they do things the right way and get good results. And other people do things a lousy way and get good results. And others do lousy and get bad results. But here's the thing. You start to see patterns develop. Okay. And there was a pattern that didn't take me long to see. And that is the people who were sustainably successful financially, but also emotionally. They had great relationships. They were just happy individuals. Okay. And they were doing well financially too. These people were service oriented. They were other focused. Now they were internally motivated, but they were other focused, outwardly focused. And it was always about how much value they could bring others. They really cared about their customers and clients. They wanted that other person's life to be better just by being part of it. And I saw that pattern develop. And, fortunately, it was congruent with my upbringing. And I know the same with Kathy. And, so when John and I got together to write the book, and we were, we had both for years had been entrepreneurs, but also studied success. And John, as a writer, got to interview some of the most successful people in the world, right? And as a speaker, I got to speak on stage with some of the most, and I'm an asker of questions, and so is John. And so we got together and just put together, what are the principles? What are the laws that people throughout history, for as long as there have ever been market economies, okay? What are the laws, the principles these people can operated by, even if they didn't know that's what they were doing? But what were those common denominators? What had to happen for a person to be successful and sustainably successful in all the different areas of life? And that's really how the book came about.
If I can add, it really Bob's book, Endless Referrals, had been a sales classic for many years. And Bob, didn't you realize that you really needed to take that how-to from the Endless Referrals and put it into a parable format?
Yeah, it was because it was really Endless Referrals was for entrepreneurs and salespeople who knew they had a great product or service, but they didn't necessarily feel comfortable going out into their communities and developing the kinds of relationships in which people would want to do business with them directly and or refer them to others. So yeah, the Endless Referrals was a how-to guide. But I always loved reading parables. So, as you've mentioned, parables, stories, they connect on a heart-to-heart level. And then, fortunately, I met John about 5, 6, 7 years after Endless Referrals came out. And he was the only one I wanted to write this with because I knew he was just such a great writer and a quality human being. And John, he was the lead writer and storyteller. He's fantastic. But yeah, that's really how it came about.
Yeah, it's terrific. And you've really, with this book and also with the workshop with both of you, you became a mentor of mine, really, which it's important for people to have with the book or a mentor, right, of having that. So I recommend everyone reading your book. I mean, whatever business you're in or life in itself. But going to back to the mentorship, how would someone find a mentor, and what should they not do? There's two different variables of how to find one and what not to do. Can you give someone a recommendation?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's one of my favorite topics because mentorship is so important, and it's a big part of the story. And I think what happens is these days you can kind of connect with anybody on a surface level, right? Through the internet or through, however it might be. And so you hear, a lot of younger people will approach a more mature person, a successful person, let's say, and they'll immediately, hey, will you be my mentor? And the challenge with that is that, there's no relationship there. There's nothing that makes this person. So now remember, if you want this successful person to mentor you, the chances are a lot of people are also asking them to mentor them. So this person probably has a finite amount of time, okay, to be able to do that. So that doesn't, it doesn't make this person who asks stand out. It might seem a little bit entitled, just, asking the person, hey, even though you don't know me from a hole in the wall, would you please share 40 years of your life's experience with me? It's kind of, and so, but nonetheless, you can still approach that person, but I would just do it in sort of a different way. If you just ask that person to be your mentor, it's sort of like asking somebody to marry you before asking them out on a first date. Okay. And so instead, what if you said to this person, I know you're very busy. If this is something you don't have the time to do, or for whatever reason would rather not, I'll absolutely understand. I'm wondering if I might ask you one or two very specific questions. Now, when you do that, you've done a few things. One, you've come across in a way that totally respects the process and respects that person's time. Okay. You've also, number two, you have given them an out or back door. You didn't try to kind of coerce them into it, but you said, if you don't, or if for whatever reason I call this the out or back door. And Burg's law of the out or back door said, and that's just simply an emotional escape for a person to take. And the law of the outer back door simply says the bigger the outer back door you give someone to take, the less they'll feel the need to take it, because they only want to know that they can take it, right? And so what that tells them is you're going to have respect for them and for their time. Third, what you did is, rather than just asking, can I pick your brain, which is very general and just says to this person, this is going to be a waste of time, you've said, may I ask you one or two very specific questions? Now, this says to that person, okay, here's a person who knows what they want. Okay. They're not going to waste my time. They're not going to, but they know they have an agenda. And in this case, an agenda being a positive. They know what they want to ask. So they know it's going to be well worth their time to do this. Now, the next step is you make sure you don't ask anything that you could have learned by looking it up. But that aside, you make sure you don't take up a lot of their time. You ask your questions. You thank the person at the end and let them know how appreciative you are and that you're going to immediately apply their wisdom. Then what I would do is I would write immediately afterwards, write a handwritten, personalized note that you're going to send through the actual mail. And it simply says, dear Mr. So-and-so, dear Ms. So-and-so, or however the relationship's been established, thank you once again for sharing your valuable time with me. Your wisdom is immense, and I look forward to applying that, blah, 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 blah. And then if I may, I'll check back to let you know how things are progressing. Best regards, put it in an envelope, stamp it, send it out. What I'd also suggest doing is making a small donation, doesn't have to be anything big, a small donation to their favorite charity, okay, in their name. So if you know that this person is an animal fanatic, let's say, and maybe supports the local animal shelter or rescue shelter, which, by the way, you can find out from doing an online search. You can ask that person's administrative assistant. Don't ask the person. Don't let the person know you're going to do it. It's a surprise. And then you make a small donation in their name. It will get back to them, and you're not doing it to kiss up. You're doing it just so this person, again, knows that you respect the process and that you're grateful. Now, a couple of weeks later, you might call up, have another question, or you might whatever. Here's the thing, Andy, that if a mentor-protege ongoing relationship is supposed to happen, it will. If not, it won't. This may be your only conversation with this person, or you might have a couple conversations. They might recommend someone else, or you'll find other people. It's an ongoing process. So, take these steps without attachment to the results. And that's really how you go about finding this. And if I can bring up, you had mentioned earlier, and I guess this goes into mentorship in a little bit, but you had brought up about, with the book and the different courses and the different, events like the one you came to. That was Kathy who put that all together. She's a strategist. I mean, by nature, she's a systemizer. She's a strategist. She actually she's the person who built this whole go-getter movement, if you will. Yeah. With all the different things we have. And so, it's always so great as a team to be able to have a person with complementary strengths. But I think, and you can say she's, sort of like a mentor to the businesses she consults, because she's the strategist. She says, okay, you've got this. Here's what you do now to actually bring value to the marketplace with it. So I think that's so important.
It is. And with that being said, Kathy, with your Colby system, which I used with my assistant, Jordan, it was super helpful. And I know you've got other stories share the story, because there's the story you did share at the workshop about the person who thought they didn't have the right compatibility with share that story, because that's a perfect example.
Sure. Well, just a little background for anyone who doesn't know what Colby is.
Yeah.
Colby Corp, Kathy Colby actually created what's called the Colby A Index. And it is an assessment that identifies how you naturally take action. It is not personality. It is not how smart you are cognitive, but we're all born with these innate abilities. And this assessment identifies in 4 modes how you'll naturally take action, make a decision, create something. So yes, we had someone at our retreat that took the assessment. And when we were going through her strategy session, she's like, I'm having some trouble with my assistant. I really think I'm going to need to let her go. And so I just said to her, I said, well, would you mind having her take the Colby A Index, and let's see, is she a cognitive fit? Because maybe she wasn't, and that's why it wasn't working out. And then once she did it, we found out she was actually a perfect complement for the realtor. It was just, if you expect someone to do it the way you do it, and that's not how they naturally do it, it's not going to work. But in business, we need these different strengths. If we're all the same, we're all clones, we never get anything done. So it's truly a joy. And to me, this is all about the law of authenticity, becoming really aware of what your strengths, your gifts are, so that one, you know what not to do, what you need to start delegating as soon as you can in your business.
Yeah.
And that's where you find true joy, when you're in alignment.
Yeah, so true. And I what I got from that test as well, it helped both myself and with Jordan, my assistant, that to understand for both of us, here are our strengths, here's how we can help each other, and to understand more from each other of what the results were from that test. It really, it helped even being proactive in how we see things differently and how we work differently, and whether in the systems or whatnot. So yeah, it was terrific. I recommend that as well. And people can reach out to you to just learn more about that test.
Thank you.
So also, I would love for you to explain what this whole Go-Giver community that you have really taken on, Kathy, and I have just, I know I don't, I haven't shown up as much on some of the work, the videos and whatnot, but I love the community because it brings people together, it brings value to each other. And Bob, oh my gosh, with all your connections that I've gotten, like Rich, that you connected, literally talk about the tentacles that go out and bringing value, and just with that one person, then he connected me with other people, and it keeps continuing. It's amazing. I love the Go-Giver community, and it continues, even if I'm not there as often as I'd like to be on those workshops and videos. Explain a little bit about that Go-Giver, the Success Vault membership.
Yeah, right now the Go-Giver Success Vault membership makes it very easy for individuals to tap into all of Bob's content and his courses. So through the Success Vault, members can go in and do his online courses. We have lots of other content, challenges, a 7-day challenge, Succeeding the Go-Giver Way. There are quarterly live events with Bob, where Bob will do a teaching, and members can ask any questions that they have as they're going through the Endless Referrals, the Go-Giver Way course, or Selling the Go-Giver Way. There's also On Your Way to Remembering Names and Faces, Master Your Traits, Master Yourself. I mean, Bob just has been prolific in the content that is so applicable and immediately helps you in not only your business, but in your life. And one of the things from the Go-Giver, they talk about, these are not just business principles, these 5 laws, these are life principles. And it's just not about just creating a good, successful business. It's about creating a great life. And that's the beauty of all the people that are in the Go-Giver community. They're just, you're meeting such high quality individuals. So
true. And that's where, with this, my little blue book that I brought to that workshop. Oh my gosh. So again, I live and breathe the Go-Giver through this magazine, and so appreciate everything that both of you contributed and helped. And all the intense group, I think there were 10 of us, 10 or 12 of us at that intense workshop. Are you still, do you continue to have different workshops for people that they can join as well and do that? Going out to Florida, to a great place, Jupiter, Florida, not a place to have a workshop.
Yes, we do have an upcoming Go-Giver Beyond the Mastermind Retreat. It's going to be August 24th through the 26th in Jupiter, Florida, at the gorgeous Wyndham Grand Jupiter Hotel. So it's 2 days. We start the Sunday night with a wonderful special get-together and dinner, and then it's 2 full days. each participant. It's limited to 8 participants. And then there's Bob and I, and then we have 2 master coaches. We have 2 amazing coaches, Sam Hardman and Kelly Hayes, our certified Go-Giver speaker coaches, who happen to be phenomenal realtors as well. And the other cool thing is they're business partners. They're both married to someone else, but they're very successful business.
People always say, "Are you married?" They say, "Yeah, but not to each other."
Right. And also they've started a foundation to help their local community. So we really bring a lot together to really help the individuals that join us for these magical retreats.
They are magical. And from the retreat that I attended, I mean, those are lifelong people that we stay connected. And it's a special intensive weekend. And I know with that date coming up, but you will have ongoing retreats. So people know that if they listen to this and watch it after that date, that just know that they can reach out to you for upcoming dates and of these retreats. So, oh my gosh, I am so grateful for the both of you. Love you both. I just want to give you
feel the same. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And again, I got the Go-Giver book. Again, I always have about 10 copies on hand that, like I said, I give them to people that are on the podcast and share with them the story. And then I always tell them to pay it forward, to pass this along to anyone. And thank you so much for everything that you've done, and continue that. You, every day, you're in my hearts and my writing every day. I think of you both. So thank you.
We love you, Andy Odie.
Oh, I love you both. Mwah. Thank you so much. And I hope that soon that we can see each other in person again, because I love going out to Florida and Jupiter. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And wish you great success with your little blue book.
Oh, thank you. Much appreciated.